Elkinsville, it's known as the town that once was. Founded in 1817 by pioneer William Elkins, the historic village sat nestled in the hills and valleys of the Salt Creek Watershed, a fertile bottomland perfect for southern Indiana's first farming families. By 1950, Elkinsville was small, but a burgeoning community, home to 100 close-knit residents. Within the decade, however, only traces of Elkinsville would remain: an old cemetery, a handful of abandoned houses, and a bittersweet tale of the town's forced decay. As the neighboring city of Bloomington continued to expand in population, so too did the need for suitable water sources. In addition, disastrous floods across the area prompted renewed demand for flood control from the White River and its tributaries. In 1958, having stressed all other options, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced a new project: a dam to be built on Salt Creek and a resulting reservoir, Lake Monroe. When completed, Lake Monroe would be the largest lake entirely situated in Indiana, with almost 11,000 acres of water surface area, enough to satisfy the needs of Monroe County's growing population. The lake would also save over 430,000 acres of land from the threat of flooding. But its creation would come at more than just a monetary price. Several communities, including Elkinsville, would need to be relocated. In 1959, the Army Corps of Engineers, with the help of local government, would begin the process of removing the residents.
They were talking about flood control as well as water resource. Early people that came through, the big corporations came through and took all the trees, and so whenever they took the trees away, it caused flooding. When that flooding got really bad, it would take and flood part of the towns, and that was their justification for using eminent domain. Of course, there was a lot of politics involved as well, because as we know, people land down near Monroe County and Bloomington, people were allowed to keep their land. Up here at Elkinsville, the people's land was taken away from them with the threat of eminent domain, and yet people within 300 meters of the lake still have houses. All of the places where it came through, they all got a short end of the stick. They purchased the land for less than $100 an acre and said, you got to move along. After they were chased out for Lake Monroe from about in the early 60s, it left a bitter taste in many people's mouth and in their mind and in their heart, and it took them a while to get over that.
By the reservoir's completion in 1964, more than 300 homes, along with 3 schools, 10 churches, and 8 cemeteries, were either relocated or simply washed away. However, after the lake was filled and opened to the public, it was discovered by former residents that the majority of Elkinsville remained untouched by the waters of Lake Monroe. Within a few years, a handful of dedicated residents returned to the area once more. One such person was Bill Miller. He was drawn to the Elkinsville area for its wild landscapes and prevailing solitude. Soon, however, the history of the town became just as alluring.
I purchased this property down here in 1967, so I will have had property here for 50 years this year. I kept looking around after we got the property, where are the people that used to live here? And I kept wanting to meet them so I could learn about the history. And years passed and I didn't meet any of them, or very few. And then finally one day, the local people that used to live here would like to have a place for a reunion. Can you suggest any place they could have it? And I said, sure, they can have it here at my property because I'm really interested in the history. It got the people to come back and not focus on what happened to them, but to focus on the good community that they had and the fun, and they focused on the positive. So instead of leaving a bitter taste in their mind, it erased that to a large degree and helped make good memories of Elkinsville. But the reunion has started out about 250 to 300 people in 1987. And so over the years now it's dwindled down as those people aged and passed on, that we still have around 80 to 100 people. So this year will be the 30th reunion.
But the story of Elkinsville isn't just for returning locals. The majority of what remains of Elkinsville lies within state and federally protected land. The surrounding wilderness is a hotspot for outdoor recreation, such as hiking and canoeing, so visitors can traverse the remnants of Elkinsville and experience its history for themselves.
There's about 50,000 acres contiguous with Elkinsville, so there's about 3 or 4 different entities of public lands that come together here. I think the story of Elkinsville is one that people can use to say that people took a bad situation and moved on. We all have to deal with adversity in our lives. The idea of preservation and keeping things going, it's important because the Elkinsville community is one that should be preserved for the future generations.
While Elkinsville may be known as the town that was, it is evident that the spirit of the town still continues as a vibrant reminder of the sacrifice made for those who find solace on the Lake Monroe shores and respite among the hills of this once historic town.